and today's topic is designing your life. So many of us live life by happenstance, just what unfolds, and oftentimes it seems random and sometimes it seems guided, but what would happen if we were to take an active role in laying the foundation or paving the way for a life of our dreams, a life that is a fulfillment of our heartfelt intentions and desires. So that's what we're going to discuss today. Should be fun conversation. But before we get started, let's take a minute or two to get present. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale, exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light, lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale, exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together, vigorously rub your hands together to feel the friction, the temperature, the pressure, the motion, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables us to experience life. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, Rosalind. So good to have you here with us this morning. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. Designing your life. What does it look like? The first thing we need to do is to have a willingness to step back and take stock. And in taking stock, to look at, what do we really want? What do we desire? What do we dream of? And that in itself is a bold move it takes courage, because it means that there may be disruption. It may be, we may experience upheaval, because if we're talking about fulfilling dreams and desires, what is often required is that we rise to be someone more than we imagine ourselves to be, that we step beyond the limitations that we've established for ourselves to express something greater. And it takes it's a challenge. It takes a willingness to imagine ourselves as something other, something more than we might feel currently capable of. And so that's step one, is to be willing to dream not in a way that is fantastical, but in a way that is reflective of our heart and soul and the essence that drives us. And then step two is to look at what would take us toward those dreams. So I remember a story. There's a book called Designing Your Life, and there's a whole course around it. And I don't remember the names of the authors, but I believe it was in that book that they talked about a woman who decided that she wanted to open a cafe because she loved cafes. She loved going to cafes and hanging out and um, having great hot beverages and tasty pastries and such. And she started a cafe only to find that she hated it. She did not like retail one iota. And um, to her chagrin, the cafe was very successful, and so she felt kind of trapped in it. And anyway, I guess she sold it. I don't recall exactly. I think that that was what happened. But the moral of the story is that we may have these dreams and ideas, and often about what we want for ourselves. And often those dreams and ideas are idealized. They're often characterized more by fantasy than the reality of the circumstance. So one of the things that we can do in designing our lives is to give ourselves an opportunity to step gently into something, to test it out, to test the waters before diving into the deep end without sticking a toe in first. And there's a boldness even to exploring in that way, because we're actually taking action toward what we're interested in potentially pursuing. So I was talking to a friend who was talking about setting up a sort of an event space to be able to create meals and a ceramics studio to create the flatware that I mean the dishes and serving dishes and all the plates and bowls and such that people would eat from. And it's a lovely and beautiful romantic idea. And this person has lots of experience with cooking and preparing for lots of people. And we were discussing it, and they were talking about plans to rehab this whole space and, you know, make all this investment to make this thing happen. And in our conversation, we came to the idea of what about just trying by doing small dinners in the home to see if this was something that felt good, to see if it was something they enjoyed, and to get more engaged actively in maybe some ceramics classes or a production studio where they would have access to a potter's studio to be able to do production pottery and see if it was something that they actually enjoyed without going ahead and building out this whole production before they knew for sure that this felt good to them. And it was a revelation for them to open the possibility of an incremental shift. You know, I think the idea of incremental shifts is a little misleading, because you get a taste of something. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's the thing, or it's the something that you would want to be consuming, to be eating day after day, for instance. But I personally, I've been dreaming about van life for a year or two, to be living in a van that's built out very comfortably and traveling the country and exploring that way and kind of having a bit of a vagabond lifestyle. And it occurred to me that while the idea was very romantic to me, it might be crazy to others, that the reality of it might not match that fantasy. So I rented a van, at a camper van, and spent a couple weeks in it. And a couple weeks is just a bare taste, but it gave me a taste to say, oh, this is cool. I like this. There's a lot about this I like. And so it encouraged me to go the next step into that dream, that vision. And I think if this is the one magnificent life we have, why not create opportunities to make it the life you desire or you dream of? And so the thing that is the greatest obstacle, I think, to having that happen is stepping out of our comfort zone. It really means having a willingness to step out of the comfort of the familiar, right? Because we're moving into another realm of expression. It's kind of like looking at the horizon line. In order to get there, we need to step out of where we are. And the truth is, we kind of, with these visions of, or dreams or hopes or desires, they're kind of a glimmer at the edge of the horizon, which is at the edge of the familiar. And we have to go further to be able to see that with greater clarity, to be able to step into it, to be able to live into it. And the comfort of the familiar can lull us into complacency, even the comfortable discomfort of the familiar. We could be really not happy, but happy enough, or not so miserable that we have no choice, so to speak. And that's something that we do to ourselves so often, is that we, in order to change, we create incredible discomfort and unhappiness for ourselves to the point where it's unbearable and we have no choice but to change. And I'm here to say that we don't have to let it get to that point. We don't have to let it get to the place where it's just unbearable. We can take an active role to design what's next for us. And in order to do that, it's important to be willing to look at what lights us up. What is something that makes that expands our hearts, that elevates our soul. And the idea of waiting until is not necessarily the best approach. You know, like someday, one day. when I retire, then I'll have the life I want, kind of thing. We can find ways to be exploring the possibilities even now, even if it's by starting to do research about it, or taking some kind of action in the direction that we want to be going. And then there are times when it is appropriate to take the leap. And that leap can be terrifying. The thing is that when that leap is in alignment with our heart and soul, the universe tends to support us in miraculous ways. Good morning, Dido. So good to have you here with us this morning. Welcome. We're talking about designing our lives and having the courage to take the next step. So it might be by committing to a practice. For instance, if we want, as an example, if we have a dream of being a writer, taking a step to commit to a daily practice is a courageous move. And it's a wonderful commitment to step into a new definition of self. And I think that that's what our dreams require of us, is pushing the edge of our self-definition so that we can become more of who we truly are, like stepping into our best and highest expression. And what results from that is our great fulfillment that resonates through every dimension of our being. And the more we believe in that new definition, the more solidly it manifests in the world. And the more confidence we gain, the more validation we gain in that expression. So one of the challenges is to find that dream and vision that truly resonates in heart and soul, and that provides us with a sense of purpose and meaning, which gives us a sense of direction and clarity. And so when we talk about finding our purpose, finding our unique expression, there are all kinds of clues in our lives to point us in that direction. When we look at our history, when we look at the patterns of our lives, how we've expressed ourselves, what we've been interested in, what we dreamt of when we were kids, I think some people are blessed knowing what they want to do with their lives from the time they're little, or they're blessed with incredible talents, or fascinations that that give them a beacon to move toward in their growth and evolution. And others of us don't have that clarity and end up going down many different roads I'm one of the many roads people, I think. Well, for sure. And the thing about many roads is that we've had, historically, our culture has had a negative opinion of people who went down many roads, right? Dilettantism, or jack of all trades, master of none, said with a sneer. And what we find is that in the world that we're living in, there's so much change that very few people who started down one trajectory, career trajectory, for example, stay in that career or stay in that job, let alone the career. And so I'm a person who wants to taste it all. You know, I want to experience life in its fullness, the gamut of it. And I invite you to explore that. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but I invite you to be willing to explore these different aspects of yourself and self-expression that may come as a surprise, to awaken to something that feels like the comfortable shoe, for example, that feels like the perfect fit, to experiment around and try different things that you're drawn to, and then discover how does this work for you? How does it resonate in your heart and soul? To be able to find these self-expression or expressions that fit. I think we're an ever unfolding puzzle to ourselves even. And the exploration of ourselves is something that it can be a wonderful adventure. So many of us have been conditioned to be very self-critical rather than self-curious. And so that's the invitation, is to take that curiosity to a level of adventure. And I know that safety, that's in big air quotes, is a real concern, is a fear and safety can be profound drivers for us. And we all have different levels of tolerance for risk and the unknown. But let's look at cultivating that. Let's look at the reward of discovery, of wonder. And even in exploring what it is that brings us comfort, like true comfort, not deadening, numbing comfort, but comfort and vitality, I think, can coexist. And what does that look like? What does it look like to call ourselves into vitality and life and expression? And it can be something simple. It can be something as simple as stepping outside your comfort zone a little bit to just take a class in something that you've always thought would be interesting. Because when we shake it up a little bit, some surprising things fall out. Surprising things arise, and new avenues open, and we can blossom. It's kind of like breaking out of the eggshell and hatching, into this new world that offers new possibilities and potentials, and allows us to expand into capabilities that we didn't even know we had. And there's something very rewarding about that. And the one of the impediments to these kinds of choices is the fear of failure. But if we look at our engagements as explorations rather than having a defined outcome, it shifts the experience of success and failure. It's not something that we even measure then on that metric. So the invitation is to design our lives, to at least set up some opportunities for ourselves to grow and be even more fully expressed. And that's it for this morning. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel. And I invite you to please like, follow, and share Enlightened World Network and me. The links are in the description. And it's always a privilege and a pleasure to spend this time together and muse and explore what it is to be human. So until next time, so much love to you.